Welcome, everybody. I hope all you all can see me. All right, this is Lockdown Learning Live. My name's Lee. We're at Sling Pilot Academy. And also next door, we got the Airplane Factory. Big shout out. We're going to be talking to them too. Today, we're going to be talking about how airplanes are built. So take off your mask, pull up a seat, and enjoy. All right. Nice little cheesy video for you guys. Okay. Again, my name's Lee. I'm a certified flight instructor from the FAA, of course, here at Sling Pilot Academy. I also have a commercial helicopter license and an aerospace engineering degree, which I don't use. So today we'll be talking about how airplanes are built. We'll talk about big versus little airplanes. So those big old jets you fly on versus little biplanes like we see behind me. And we'll talk about airplane skeleton, how that goes into how these things are built and why it has a skeleton. We'll also talk about building your own airplane, which sounds hard, but actually it's really easy. So first, let's talk about big airplanes, all right? So you need to go see your grandma and you want to go to Connecticut, so you're going to go fly across the freaking country in this big old metal tube, right? So you go on the internet, click, 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 and you book a flight, and here you are, like off to freaking Connecticut. Crazy, right? And not a lot of us think about, what goes into making that airplane go, and even more so, we don't think about how this airplane's built. Like, how did they put this airplane together? What is the structure made out of? Today we're mostly going to just be talking about the structure, and it's actually really simple, right? If you break it down to the very basics, it's actually a pretty simple construction. Now, to understand the bigger airplanes, we got to talk about little airplanes. Behind me, below the fancy biplane, is a sling. So we'll actually be talking about what goes into building one of these little slings. This is something that really blew my mind, right? When I was getting my helicopter license, I had a chance to go visit Robinson Helicopter Factory over here in Torrance, or actually share the airport with them. And all of those little helicopters were built by hand. Like, people were assembling them with their hands. I was like blown away. So I was like, okay, cool, but that's this little company, right? So after going to school, I actually had a chance to interview with Cessna, right? And Cessna builds 2-seaters, 4-seaters, all the way up to some of the mid-sized jets, pretty big, right? And I went and interviewed with them, and I'm like, oh, okay, I want to check out what you guys are doing. Like, let's see this thing. And dude, they were building them by hand too. Like, those big jets, they're building them by hand. And it's wild to think about that, because when you sit in an airplane, you feel all safe in your airplane, you're reading a book, you're like, oh, great. You feel super secure that that airplane is going to bring you somewhere safely. Little do you know, a lot of times airplanes are built by hand, by people. So it's kind of wild to think about, and we're going to go into that real quick. So when we're talking about the airplane skeleton, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to introduce you guys to Jean. He runs the Airplane Factory next door, and he's been a great mentor to me. I have actually helped with some of the build assist programs that we do here to help build aircraft. So right next door, we're actually building Sling aircraft, and we're going to pop over and talk to Jean, and he's going to give us a little bit of insight. All right, Jean, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, Lee. Hi, everybody. I'm John from Sling, USA. A little bit about me. I come from South Africa, and I have a mouth. I've been involved with the Sling aircraft from its outset with Mike and James in South Africa. And so I know the airplane's pretty back right from the front to the back. And yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about the structure just while we're here. Here's the beautiful Rotax 915 engine that powers this little airplane around the skies and does a really good job of it. It's a very advanced, very nice engine. But I think today we're going to speak a little bit about the structure. So if you want to follow me over to the back here, and let's have a look at the wings that we've got in the build. So here we go. This is a set of wings. It's the TSI wings that are being built. The spar that you've spoken a little bit about is the main structure of the wing. This is what gives the airplane and the wing its strength. This part, because it's such an important structural element of the aircraft, is actually made in the factory in its entirety. It comes with a certificate, and it's made out of a whole bunch of elements that make it up, give it its strength. It's riveted with solid rivets. It's the only solid rivets used in the aircraft, and it's anodized, and it's a very nice quality product, guaranteed to give you the structural strength for the aircraft. Then off the main spar are the ribs. You would start off, in this case, it's a jig, an end plate. This end plate hold the main spar and the rear spar, which is also a structural member. And then very simply, in between these two spars are the ribs that are placed in here. They place in, cleco together, and then riveted. Now, you can see the spar is a very staunch bit of structure. The ribs are a little flimsy when they're not all riveted together. Once you get the skin on top and the skin marries the spar and the ribs and the rear spar, you get a monocoque structure which is incredibly strong. A lot of rivets sewing it together, and it makes a very strong structure, as we've proved with all our testing, flight testing as well, on ground testing. It's a very, very strong structure. So all these thin bits of aluminum put together in the right way give you a very strong monocoque structure. The fuselage is similar, but that's for another day's chat. And there it is.
All right, thanks, John. Yeah, he used a lot of crazy words. Let's change John, and we're gonna see you later, John, and we'll pop into a little bit more of the details here.
Look forward to next time.
All right, so like I said, John was using a bunch of words, right? He's like ribs and rivets and clecos and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna dive into what these things are. All right, so coming in here, let me hop onto my shared picture here. Boom! All right, I learned technology today. How about that? Okay, so taking a look here, this is an airplane similar to the Sling, not the Sling though. This is the skeleton, right? This is underneath the airplane. This is what the thing looks like. So we're still talking about little airplanes here. You can see these ribs and the spars, of course, as Jean talked about. So what are these things, right? Well, what I like to do is I like to think about this as like a human skeleton. And believe it or not, this is me. I went and got an x-ray. So that's, yeah, I got a big head. All right, so I like to think about the airplane kind of like a skeleton of a person, right? So we've got a really strong spine, and then off of that, some ribs, all right? So if we look back at the airplane, right, and we think about this, okay, so what's going to be our spine? Well, it's this little piece, right, this red piece in the middle. That's the strength. That's the strength. You lose that strength, you kind of lose your wing. So off of that, you have little ribs, right? So little red ribs coming off of that. And then on top of that, we mate a skin. Right? And like Jean said, once that skin is mated to all of our other structures, spar, ribs, whatever, then we get the monocoque, what he was talking about, kind of a stronger piece. So we get a stronger piece because everything's meshed together. So if you think about it like a human, we got our spine and our ribs, and then skin goes on top, and we stay together. And we can go throughout the world and fall down and get punched in the face and all kinds of crazy stuff that us humans do, just like the airplane goes out into the world and it goes flying and hits storms and all kind of crazy stuff. So this is kind of what puts together. And we're talking about one little structure here, but this is how the airplane's built in general, the entire airplane, which is kind of wild. If we pop back over here, you can see a similar idea happening all the way down. Now, the wings, obviously, we all know what a wing is. On the back, we have a horizontal stabilizer, right? So that's kind of like a wing in the back of the airplane. And then connecting those things, and also where you sit, is called the fuselage. So you got the fuselage, you got wings, and then you got a couple stabilizers in the back. Most of this stuff is built the same way. It's got some sort of interior structure with a skin on it, right? And just in general, that's how these airplanes are built. And we're going to pop over, big shout out to Mojo Grip. He's actually building one of these slings in our hangar, and I got a video of him doing so. We're going to talk a little bit about what he's doing. So check this out.
So this is what, remember the two pieces are basically the back leading edge. So you see now that they've come together, and these are the bones holding it together. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And obviously we're looking through the manual. And right now we just have the clicos in to have them in place. All right, these are clicos.
So let's check out these clicos, right? Because Jean talked about them too. They're really important pieces of this build, right? So clicos and rivets. This is what's going to hold our airplane together. Now, if we think about clicos as like little nails, right? We're building a house. Maybe we're building this box, this freaking hot box I'm sitting in. So we're building this box, right? And we're going to put it together and make a little structure out of it and try to figure out if it's put together right. So we take little nails and we tick, 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 tick. We put in these little tiny nails to try to hold it together to figure out if our box works correctly. That's what these clicos are doing. They're holding the structure together so that he can figure out if this thing is being put together right, and then he's going to do the permanent way.
And now that we have them in place, our supervisor, Jean, he's going to come through and check and make sure everything is good to go. And then I guess the next step is to just put the rivets in. And boom, we'll have the horizontal stabilizer, and we can finally put these skins to cover it up. And I think we should be good for the day.
All right, so check this out, right? He's got a little like slow down motion of him about to get ready to rivet this thing. Okay, he's got this like rivet gun in his hand, right? And this is an air powered tool, so you got to hook it up to a compressor essentially, and then it essentially real simply, it's got this rivet on the other end. My little marker's my rivet, if you guys can see me here, and he pulls the freaking rivet, and then it holds this thing together. So check this out. Watch the rivet. You missed it. Get back in there. All right, so you see that little rod that he had in there gets pulled back, and when it gets pulled back, it opens up, right? And that actually holds the two pieces together. We won't get too deep into how rivets work. They're kind of magical, right? No, they're very simple. They're a rod that basically just gets smushed. They smush the rod, and those things get held together. It's actually pretty sweet. And he just goes around with this gun, and he goes point, 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 point with all these holes, and that's how he's attaching these pieces together. There's a lot of riveting in skins when you're attaching the skins to the ribs and all that kind of stuff. So he's just running around with this tool going pop, 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 and pulling all these rivets to mate those pieces together. Okie doke. Let me get out of here. Wow. Stop screen share. I'm back. Okay. So back to big airplanes, right? So we talked about little airplanes. That's what Mojo Grip was building. He's building a little Sling. So he's dealing with the horizontal stabilizer, right? And just real quick so that I don't lose anybody, we're going to come back to our horizontal stabilizer over here in our image. So that's in the back, right? Where the tail is. The tail of the airplane has the horizontal stabilizer. Again, just like a wing. Now we're going to hop off into different subjects during these live streams. We're planning on doing them once a week on Wednesdays, same time. And we're going to hop off into all these different topics. Like, why is the wing shaped like that? What's a horizontal stabilizer? Like, what's its purpose? So we're going to talk about all these things, but I kind of wanted to jump in this because I think building airplanes is really cool, and not everybody knows how they're put together. So he's talking about this horizontal stabilizer. Big airplanes got horizontal stabilizers too. And essentially, they're put together the same way. Now, it's not quite that simple, right? Because they have to be more smooth, more aerodynamic. They have to be bigger and stronger. And one of the things that we deal with airplanes is this trade-off, right? Because we can't make them have a bigger engine because that makes it too heavy. It's still got to fly through the air. So building airplanes is this really cool back and forth play with thrust and weight and lift and all these different forces that, of course, we'll get into on a different day. So to wrap up here, I wanted you guys to actually build your own airplane, which sounds hard, right? Sounds really hard. But I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I won't do myself. So 5 minutes before I did this live stream, I said to my coworker, "You think I could build an airplane in 5 minutes?" And she was like, "If anybody could do it, it's you, Lee." And I did it, all right? So I grabbed, this is what I built, by the way, pad of sticky notes, all right? And I put together an airplane. Now, it's not perfect. It doesn't fly really well, but it's an airplane. And it's beautiful, and I love it, okay? I want you guys, since you're home, you're not doing anything, we gotta learn anyways, right? Gotta grow. So I want you guys to go around your house, find something that you can build an airplane out of, and then I want you guys to send me a video of how you built it. And I'll see you guys next week.